Well, hello everyone, and welcome to part 8, which is covering book 8 of this Vinland Saga read through, where I'm reading through Vinland Saga for the first time, and I'm joined by
Me, Jarkey Bacon.
yes, we are okay. We're both back after another week, and we are reading or covering book 8, which is Japanese volumes 15 and 16. Which is chapters 101 to 115, and it's the start of a new arc, so exciting times. So in terms of what's being covered in this book, there's basically one mini arc, which is pretty interesting, because I don't think that's happened before. And then you get the start of a second arc, it seems like, at least. So in terms of the actual stuff, we get Thorfinn and company going to meet Halfdan to get the resources to start a village in Vinland. Then we meet Gudrid, and we get Halfdan refusing to help Thorfinn, but then giving him narwhal horns. Then we get the wedding between Gudrid and Sigurd, and then Gudrid leaves with Thorfinn and company on the boat. Then they find a baby and a dog, and then they fight a bear and then meet Hild, and the chapter or the book ends. Very interesting end. So in terms of overall thoughts, the first thing I'd say is that it felt pretty straightforward, is what I'd say. Like, there wasn't too much to think too deeply about, which is a bit of a change, I think. But I was very engaging, and I liked reading it, which is kind of surprising because coming off the last book, which was like a big high, obviously, like my favorite book so far, favorite arc and everything, I thought I'd be less engaged kind of reading this, but I wasn't. Like, straight away, I kept reading. I'm like, man, this is great. So I still enjoyed it a lot. But like we were saying,
because this can almost feel like a little bit of a filler in a way. You're like, okay, we got back, Thorfinn got back, and we're not going to Vinland. Okay.
I mean, it's true. I wasn't expecting them to go straight away anyway, because I'm like, it's gonna take time, unless there was a time skip or something, I guess.
When I was binge reading this, I was a little bit peeved.
Interesting.
But this was like when Leaf was talking about it initially, like in the first four, and then after that, I was like, oh, I'm on board. But then we start having them like sail around these like these islands and stuff, and they get this baby. Oh, what is this? And then then all this stuff. So yeah, it's this is when Peakland Saga starts going down the drain, according to some.
Wow, interesting.
But you can find a group of people that start disliking Vinland Saga more after every single arc.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I liked it. And Gudrid is definitely one of my favorite characters already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we get a lot with her. There's a few chapters where we're getting actual narration, like in the square, like speech bubble kind of things, where it's like, oh, the narrator's talking, and it's her perspective, like her talking, which is something I love. Like, I loved it when they did it for Anne. I love it now when we're doing it for Gudrid. She's great.
Aina had it as well, I think, at the beginning of his arc as well.
Yeah. It's a good, it's interesting. I really love it when they do that for characters. Good stuff. And then the book ends with a cliffhanger, which was very interesting. Like, I've never felt that has happened before. I guess all of the books kind of end on like a cliffhanger where it's like, oh, I wonder what will happen next. But this one is like mid conversation. They're like, oh, the book's over.
Yeah, this is mid scene. Yeah,
it's a strange
That's
thing.
True.
So yeah, I was like, oh, I gotta stop reading until tomorrow when we talk about it. So here we are. Yeah. So
we're introduced to two ladies in this group finally getting the sausage party out of the way.
Yeah, indeed, two paralleled ladies, or in a way, kind of. It's interesting.
All right.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, so I have to admit to you that when on the first tier list you made, which is up on Twitter, and presumably folk have seen your second tier list, so we're having a little thing where Ari, at the end of every single arc, he makes a tier list. On the first tier list, Halfdan was his older self, and so I just put in Sigurd. And I said, "Oh, that's Halfdan."
Oh,
and you bought it, and I was like, "Yes,
because they look
actually
identical.
Works. They look identical.
It's uncanny. Like, when you see the older Halfdan, I'm like, it just looks like an older Halfdan. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Man,
the man. That's pretty funny. I gotta go back and look at that.
So it was a bit of a funny meme. I was telling people who were commenting on it, like, don't tell him as Sigurd. Don't go like, why are you ranking Sigurd? I'm like, please don't. I'm begging you.
Oh man.
Kind of thing. So,
wow. All right. Yeah. Interesting characters. We'll talk about that soon. All right. So overall thoughts to start off. Oh no, I already did the overall thoughts, didn't I? Jesus Christ. All right. Standout art. God, I've recorded this twice already. Okay, standout art. So this when it obviously we start off back with Ylva and Helga and all that back in his little Iceland village, Thorfinn's Iceland village.
Yeah.
And Ylva suggests that it's time for Thorfinn to get married, and we get this amazing some warped face of Thorfinn. Is the goofiest thing I've ever seen in this series. It's just so funny and cracked me up so much.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I love it.
This art can be a little goofy, so I mean, you had a bit of goofy stuff in this, and yeah. So if you like a few goofs and gaffs, I mean, generally I liked in this art. There's a few points I didn't, but yeah. So that's another reason why people say this arc isn't as good. It's not as serious. It's not seinen anymore. It's gone to shonen trash or something like that.
I think it's good because it's not all the time. Like, it's just the moments that are goofy. It's just so funny. Like, even believe it or not, the next standout art is another goofy thing. Which is Gudrid slipping over on the ice. It just cracked me up so much.
That's classic.
Like, man, like, it's just so over dramatic and like exaggerated. I'm like, man.
Yeah. Oh, what was? Yeah. So there's one also I remember. Hold on, I'm looking up now. Apologies to anybody hearing all my clitter clatters, but it's like when Sigurd, like, he strikes the ground and this is incredible. Like, he thinks, oh, you're stealing Gudrid, and there's this line where, like, strikes the ground, and, like, I don't know, it's almost as dynamic as the paneling gets in Vinland Saga. Like, but yeah, I mean, like, Chain's a scary weapon, and it was a cool fight.
It was a very cool fight.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then, okay, I hope that you have like another panel, another goofy panel, and outstanding out. If not, I'm gonna find.
Oh no! All right. We got two more panels.
All right, cool.
The first one is kind of two panels in one, which I'm going to talk about or show you, I guess. But it's Gudrid here, where she stabbed him or stabbed Sigurd, and then she's just going back to the boat, and she just has a breakdown basically, where initially she's trying to hide it, and then she can't, and then she cries, and it's just I don't know, it's sad, but it's just so beautiful, you know, man.
No, I love it when they pull out the panels. That is, like these types of panels where you're just like, oh, like it's like almost the same frame, but you just see the emotions changing over it.
It's just the rapid changing of emotions on the same page. I like it a lot. So the final one is not a goofy one. It is the reveal that there is a bear, and it's just like a tiny little speck of a bear at the top, and then he like zooms in, and it's like, cool. Man, this is terrifying. Just like a bear in the distance. I just like how it's framed, you know. But what is this? What is this goofy one you're talking about?
It's the part where Thorfinn's just like, Gudrid, you're a woman, give him milk. And then she's like, no, that's not how it works. And he's just like, what? No.
Thorfinn is like very oblivious. He doesn't know anything.
So there's a subreddit called Bad Woman's Anatomy. And they've got this like stunned picture of Thorfinn as the icon. So and it's like a big subreddit. It's like probably the most weirdly pop culture Vinland Saga manga has gotten. Anyway. Yeah, some good stuff. Do you feel like there's been a change in art style at all?
Not really. No. I think what I noticed was because I've been reading Attack on Titan, like rereading that lately. And the art is so different, is what I was surprised at. Like, this is so clean and like so. Like, all the lines are so straight and stuff, and it looks so good. And then you look at the early Attack on Titan stuff, which looks equally good in my opinion, but it's like so different. Like, it's just all sketchy, and like it looks like you could draw it yourself if you like zoom in and stuff. But
I feel like with Attack on Titan, I mean, I'm not sure if I'd say it's just as good at the early parts, but I do like the roughness to it. I do feel like don't give enough credit to it. I mean, lots of the stuff is off model, of course.
Sure.
But
well, okay, but I should justify
of, like,
not very
of,
early.
Of the. Oh, okay.
Like say like chapter 30-ish, you know, like.
Okay, yeah. That's where he finds his groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I feel like it's just very much like it gives us like this rough and like almost stressed feeling to a lot of the manga in a way which I think works really well for Attack on Titan, particularly at the early parts, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, are you ready to talk about Gudrid?
Yes,
the star of this book. But honestly, I don't know if I have that much to talk about. Like the gist of it is that we get this first introductory arc, which is called The Fettered Turn, like parts 1 to whatever, like 10 or something. Funny chapter titles.
Yeah, so I was going to say that chapter naming scheme becomes more prevalent, where he's just like, okay, we're in this arc. I'll just call it 1, 2, 3. He does kind of go back to the other one, like obligatory vengeance and all these other ones, which are like, which makes it interesting. But soon you'll find, you've started on the hunted and the hunted chapters, or the hunter and the hunted chapters, like 1, 2, and there'll be a few of those and stuff like that.
I mean, I kind of liked how it started off with the fettered turn, and then you get like the reveal that it's the liberated turn now. Like it's kind of, it works for the transition that you get in the chapter, like when this arc finally ends and the next chapter is like the liberated turn. I think that's why it works for me. It's kind of like emphasize, they're fettered, blah blah blah, and it keeps going, and then it's like, they're finally liberated. It's like a juxtaposition that kind of works. But we'll see. We'll see if stuff like that happens later. Probably not. But
I mean, we got one of these panels. I'm just having a look at this. Is chapter 109. Oh, this is just really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Leaf. Oh,
what a great man.
Anyway.
So Gudrid is the fettered turn, because it's revealed that later on the chapter changes when she finally leaves and now she's the liberated turn. But firstly, I guess I didn't know what fettered meant. I didn't know what turn meant. I had to like Google all these things. Like, what are all these terms I'm hearing here? But I think I get it now. But so essentially, it's her story here is, I think it's like pretty straightforward, where it's just about how in this society, women are chained by their expectations of, or like what's expected of them, and then this story is about her breaking free of that in a way. And I don't know, I just like it. It's a nice, simple story. I don't think it's very revolutionary or anything. Like I've heard this kind of story a lot, I think. But I like Gudrid, so I was rooting for her and stuff, and I thought it was good.
I think. So turn are these birds introduced at the start, and Halfdan talks about. I mean, Halfdan's the whole slavery dude, like bound by my chains and all this stuff, and. I mean, fettered is just someone who's chained. As far as I know, I mean, maybe your Googling has served you better. It's basically than my memory.
Or like damaged or something, I think, as well, maybe.
Okay, yeah, but I think the idea is that like these turns are ones that fly far. They will fly from the North Pole to the South Pole. Arctic tern is one that will go like the longest flying bird, in nature. And it's just a parallel to Gudrid and how she wants to explore, and that's like a big character motivation for her to go see the world.
Yep.
And she doesn't want to be cooped up on Greenland or Iceland, but she would have been chained by the Halfdans, almost literally.
So she's interesting. I'm wondering so I guess to get 2 things out of the way. First, I love her like hiding in barrels. Like it happens quite a lot. Like it's happened a few times now where Thorfinn like finds her, and I just think it's really cute and I like it a lot. Like it's so funny as well. She calls it
Barrel Queen.
Barrel Queen. Calls it a barrel flage. I'm like, man, this is great.
Barrel flage.
And then I talked about the narration before. I just love when we get narration. But I guess the bulk of what I want to talk about with Gudrid is about one particular chapter, I think, which is chapter 106. So the Fettered Turn part 6, which is just a great chapter. Like it's probably the best chapter in this book, where it's the one where we open with a bit of like backstory for her, where I think we should see her on Greenland, I would imagine. And she's talking about how she sees these ships arriving and they bring like all this interesting stuff from around the world. And it's just so like captivating. Like I love seeing that. Like I can imagine being her, like seeing this jarred honey. And it's like, oh, the honey can come in a pot and stuff. And man, it's so cool. And then we get like the beach scene where you've got Leaf like drawing out the map of the world on the sand of the beach, and then she comments on how the world that he drew, it couldn't fit on this little beach. Like, man, this is cool. Like I don't know, visual metaphors in a way. I don't know. I really liked like the beginning of this chapter particularly, where we're just seeing her backstory. Not backstory, I guess, just seeing who she is a bit, and seeing what motivated her. And then we're kind of broken out of that. With like a slap, and it's like, man, we're in the present now. It's great, love it, good stuff.
That scene there is one that is shown at the end of Vinland Saga, season 1. This is
which scene is this?
So if you go, to the end of the prologue, when Aina is introduced.
Oh yes,
and you will know all those characters now that were shown in that part.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah,
so I was just so surprised to see Aina. Yeah. Also, Hild's in there as well. Interesting.
Cool. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I've got it right now. It's a minute. I mean, you can cut it out, I guess. But.
Okay. So, back to chapter 106. So we open with those great scenes. Then at the end of the chapter, this is the chapter where they talk about going to Greece. And they're like all getting excited for their journey, and us as the audience, we're getting excited. And then Gudrid steps in, and it's just such a sobering moment where it's like, oh, we're getting excited, but this girl who we love as well at this point, like she's a great like person to watch. She can't come, and it's just sobering and sad, and I like that scene a lot. And like we get this narration at the end where she's talking about, oh, I wish I never learned about the world,
Yeah, it was just sad.
Yeah, it is.
And then
good stuff.
This is also this page. This is a great page as well. Like I like the perspective on it. Like because I'm someone who, if you know the world map well, you get a bit confused on it. But yeah.
Yeah. When I saw this, I was like, oh, where's Vinland? And I couldn't find it. But one day there'll be a map with it.
Yeah, Miklaga.
Yeah, interesting name. The Byzantine Empire or something.
Byzantine.
But
yeah.
The only thing I know is like there's a Doctor Who episode, like the crash of the Byzantium or something. And I'm like, oh, is it related to that? I don't know. Interesting stuff. But
so the Byzantine Empire is like the remnants of the Roman Empire. So it's so the Roman Empire split into East and West, and the West part fell. So Constantinople was named after Emperor Constantine, which was the emperor that also is the reason why Christianity became so popular as it is today, arguably, I guess, because he was a Christian and he made it like almost the religion for the Roman Empire, and then you get then you have the Pope, which is the Bishop of Rome, and then the Catholic Church. Yeah, so I mean, Constantine's a pretty big figure, but anyway, so. I can't remember all, but yeah, so there's a lot of complicated history, very interesting history around. I mean, that's where Istanbul is today, so yeah.
Yeah,
so,
no, interesting.
Turkey nowadays.
I don't know anything about geography. I've learned a little bit from like this series. It's pretty interesting. But I think that this journey is just so exciting. Like going to Greece, another big journey. Well, I guess the first big like proper intention of an adventure kind of in this story. Which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I don't know what else we can talk about for Gudrid, I guess. We get like it's pretty straightforward, I guess, which is we see her, we meet her, and she ends up leaving. Good stuff.
Yeah.
The next person to talk about is Halfdan. And the older Halfdan. Is Halfdan a surname? Is that like how that works, or is that his actual name and then Sigurd is like son of Halfdan because it's like his dad's first name or something? Or do they not even have last names? Like I don't know how any of this works.
So generally how it works is that your last name is your father's name with a suffix at the end of. So Thorfinn would be Thorfinn Thorson.
Sure, okay.
Because he's son of Thor's. But they translate it in this to be Thorfinn, son of Thor's.
That makes sense, okay.
But then Thorfinn's also known as Thorfinn Karlsefni, but that's like a title he's got.
Yep.
But yeah, like Sigurd will be Sigurd Halfdan's son.
Yep.
And then if you're a daughter, like say if Sigurd was a girl, he'd be like Sigurd Halfdan daughter or whatever. Like they pronounce it pretty similar, but it's slightly different.
Yep. Interesting.
And it's spelled different, but yeah, it's basically just. I mean, like nowadays, like you've got people who have like the last name Hansen, like son of Han.
Oh,
like
yeah.
So you have like last names that haven't changed as much, but like they still have that Norse roots to them. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you for the information. Now I know some more.
Yay.
So Halfdan, we met him all the way back in Iceland in a prologue. And again, he doesn't feel evil at this point. Like he hasn't done anything crazy evil. Like he has slaves, obviously, but I mean, not everyone in the world seems to have slaves. And I don't know, he's interesting. Like he's just he feels like he's kind of building an empire. It's similar to Kettle in a way, where it's like building an empire on the backs of slavery. But I don't know, he hasn't done anything to strike me as particularly evil. I thought it was just interesting.
Yeah,
but
he's just very menacing.
Yeah, he's menacing. That's what and he's very like, he looks scary when you look at him. He's like an old man, very serious, never smiles. But he hasn't done anything bad yet.
Yeah.
But
no.
because this chapter obviously it opens with him, and you get like the back shot of him with the black cloak, and I was like, oh, we're getting Canute already. This is crazy. I wasn't expecting Canute, and I was so confused because I saw him. He was an old man, and I was like, okay, so he's some guy here, and then we meet Sigurd. And I'm like, oh, it's Halfdan. I know Halfdan, and then he talks to him and he's like, oh, hi, Halfdan. Or it is like he like talks to Halfdan and calls him Halfdan. I'm like, what's going on here? Is Halfdan his last name? I was so confused initially.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh yeah, Helga's old. I guess he would be old too. It just never crossed my mind that he would, like, so much time has passed.
Yeah.
But man, was that a confusing opening pages. But I figured it out in the end. So yeah, we opened with him, which we talked about a bit, with him seeing this fettered turn, like this chain. Well, it's, I guess not really fettered at this point, but this turn that is unable to fly south. And he says that if the turn admits this lack of strength and it chooses to be a slave, or to submit, I guess, to him, then he will take it in. So this kind of informs everything that Halfdan is about here, where he kind of, his belief throughout this whole book, I think, is that if someone is willing to be a slave, then it's probably better off for them to be a slave in a way, where it gives them an easier life, like instead of constantly struggling and like trying to fly south and failing, for instance, is like the metaphor here. So interesting.
Sometimes it's easy to take the easy road out. He's almost like, yeah, that's just the way of the world, you know. And sometimes it's like, because later on he has this scene, right, with one of the lackeys, and like, he's like, he talks about their pride and, you know, how he doesn't submit to the chain. It's like his pride will be the reason why his family dies, because he doesn't want them to become a slave, but his family will die either way, when he could have just become a slave and his family don't die. So
it's interesting. Like the other the other aspect to Halfdan is about that pride, which I'm not sure I understand properly. Like he's talking about how like what you just said, where it's like he thinks that pride is basically worthless, where it's like you should probably like give up on your pride and kind of do what's gonna work out the best for you. But at the end, like when that's exactly what Thorfinn does, basically, like in their conversation where he's like, oh, would you kiss my boot or whatever, so that I'll help you if you kiss my boot, blah blah blah. And he does kiss his boot, and then we get like this look of like, I interpreted it as disgust or like repulsion or something, but I'm not sure, because that would go like, because essentially what Thorfinn's doing in this situation is exactly what Halfdan would want. Like he's giving up his pride and doing like what would be best for him, but like submitting and all that. But I don't know, he looks a bit disgusted. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like what does Halfdan think about Thorfinn?
Okay.
Like it's a bit confusing.
So I think it's more that like Thorfinn calls his bluff. You know, Thorfinn is kind of to show Thorfinn is so different to to Vikings of his time.
Okay.
That he's willing to give up. Thorfinn has no pride because he almost thinks of himself as he doesn't view himself very highly because he's done so many awful things.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this is what I'm obligated to do. So he's just like, oh, dude, I'll just kiss a dude's boot. Like, he doesn't really care about the symbolism of it. He's just like, I'll just kiss a dude's boot.
Yeah, that's a cheap price.
Yeah, it's a cheap price, and he's just like, oh, I'll do it. And then kind of, Halfdan was like, oh, I'm. He's almost like shocked, like, because I think he like steps back and he's like, I was joking, like.
So it's like more of a surprise, than a disgust.
That's what I viewed it more as.
Yeah, I think that works better, definitely. Because then he does end up giving him the narwhal horns, so it's kind of like he is rewarding him in a way.
Yeah. It's the test. So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. A detestable son, just like his detestable father.
Indeed, it's good stuff.
Halfdan talking about Thorfinn there, like so it just rubs him the wrong way. He's just like, these guys are just like, I think it's expanded on a little bit more as we go throughout the arc through another character. But it's just something about like Thor's just being almost like they're almost irrational, like in Halfdan's view, and then they just don't conform to what would be predictable of general culture at the time. And it's just like frustrating to him because it's like, why? Like Halfdan is trying to be like smug and play these big mind games. Yeah. And I mean, this is why I like his wife.
Astrid,
absolutely. Yeah. She just kind of mugs him off and like takes him down a penny, and he's just like a peg. Sorry.
I thought that was a cool like conversation we get where he's like, people only marry so that you can get what you want, to merging two families, and she's just like, oh, is that why you married me? Like this farm person from nowhere. Like, man, I love it.
Yeah. Like she calls him out on his crap, and it's I think in some ways, like, I mean, I've heard different things about like people not being always happy with in some subtle ways the female representation in Vinland Saga. There's like a few critiques. Like, generally they think there's strong characters, but like even when Gudrid leaves, it like requires for Thorfinn to like invite her in a way. So it's almost like like her not being entirely independent. I won't be able to give a full critique, but there are small things like Astrid here, I guess.
Yeah, and Hild in the end. Which is why I think it's so contrasted in a way. But it's interesting. But yeah, the only other scene I really want to talk about with Halfdan is just the scene with Thorfinn letting the bird go, which is, we've really talked about a little bit, but I don't know, it's just cool. Like it's these two philosophies, arguing once again. You got Halfdan thinking the bird's going to take the food, and then you got Thorfinn being like, give it a choice, and then the bird chooses to be free, and it's kind of an insult to Halfdan. I don't know, I like it. It's cool. Very, very Thor's,
Yeah, very Thor's.
Yeah, so yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with Halfdan?
Not really. Like he's a character that gets he like, because they'll return to Halfdan will be back in the equation in a little bit. So help because we got Sigurd as well. So like Halfdan's still in the equation. So
I mean, his goal is eventually to establish a trade route to Vinland.
So
which is interesting.
So it's so he'll get a bit more characterization. And he kind of, I guess how I see him, he is like a bit of a grumpy man who's very like intelligent, but like almost like to take the emotion out of everything, and boil it down to its simplest, almost like mathematical parts. Yeah, like, this is how it should be. And he likes to almost pretend that he's really smart for doing it. It's like, oh, this is like almost he's a rational man, and he doesn't have any time for these emotions, in a way.
And then he loves his wife.
Yeah, and then he loves his wife. Yeah, so he's hypocritical, and but it's very tsundere. That's pretty the best way of putting it. So, very tsundere.
Love it. Okay, so next up is Thorfinn, who gets a redesign. He cuts his hair, shaves his beard.
Yeah, I forgot.
He looks so different. Like, I mean, I think this look of him reminds me, like, it fits in a lot better with the prologue. Like, it looks like him, definitely, in my opinion. But man, I miss the Thorfinn from the farmland stuff. It's just so like when I think the Thorfinn now, the image in my head is like him with his hair tied back and like the scruffy beard. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Thorfinn. So it's gonna take a while.
This is why Ylva's the worst character, because she shaved Thorfinn. I can't believe it.
Yep, that makes sense. I'm on your side now.
I abhor her. Abhor her. Anyway.
Yes. So in this book we get a lot of comparisons to Thor's. And when I'm reading this, I do feel like there's a lot of moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm just watching like a Thor's, basically. Even though it is Thorfinn, obviously, but it's like I could imagine if this was the same story with Thor's in this position, I feel like he'd be doing similar things. It's interesting. But yeah, so we obviously get that scene with the bird, which is what we talked about, where Halfdan compares like Thorfinn to Thor's there. We also get when Einar and Thorfinn, when they've sailed out, and I think they're on, I don't know where they are, the they have like 2 stops on the way. But yeah, one of those places, they get off and they talk about Thor's a little bit and how like he used to have a sword, like even just in case, and I don't know, it's like there's a little bit of mentioning of Thor's in this, which was interesting. Now,
so one of them would have been the Faroes Island and the Shetland Islands.
That's right.
The Faroes. Or did they? So the Faroes is where Thor's died. But did they actually go to the Faroes, or did they? Skip over that?
They did. Remember. That's where they have the conversation. They're like, he's like, I only saw my father raise a sword once, and it was here.
Yes. Okay. Nice. Yeah. There's a lot of really small but really nice moments in this that like I guess because they are like sailing in between, it's easy to forget like some of those moments. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so, okay, in this book, we also get a few challenges for Thorfinn. So, we start off with him fighting Sigurd, which is obviously a challenge. It's a cool fight. Like, he wraps the thing around his arm and, like, grabs the chain. But that's a challenge, obviously. He doesn't want to hurt him back. Then we get the scene with him kissing Halfdan's boot, another challenge to his ego and whether he'd submit to it. We also get him killing the bear, which is such a good scene. Like the reason I think it's a challenge is just the fact that like we hadn't seen whether Thorfinn would apply his kind of philosophy to animals as well. Like, is he going to become full vegetarian or something? But no, he's willing to. He gives the bear a chance to back down. It's like, please go back to your mountain, but he tries to kill it in the end. But that's another challenge. And then clearly at the end of this book, we end with Thorfinn's biggest challenge, which is facing someone who he has directly wronged. Like, I think, unless I'm forgetting something, this is the first time where we're actually seeing someone he has truly wronged in Hild. And I don't know how he's going to deal with this. Like, clearly he admitted it. He's like, yeah, it was me. I don't know if he said sorry or whatever, but I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah, he has that panicked face, basically, or like stressed face.
Very memed.
Yeah.
When your mum finds insert here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I chapter 115, I loved it so much. I don't know why. It's just the reveal of it. It's just like, oh yeah, there's this.
Oh, like Askeladd was his
and their
name
leader was and their leader's name was Askeladd, and he was like, oh, Askeladd reference, and you're like, oh, that means that know, like all this stuff, like
you have this moment where you're like, oh no, like you have this excitement, and then you're like, oh no, what does this mean? Love it.
And then it's like he was about 4 or 5 wielding daggers in either hands. I vividly remember him calling his companion Thorfinn, and then they're just like, Which I have I had a bit on this on the miscellaneous notes, but I don't remember that at all. Like her backstory with the dad and the like Thorfinn chasing them down. It's not in the prologue. This is like
now
her backstory will be shown.
Is it in the manga? Not the manga. Is it in the anime? Do you know? Like I vaguely remember
not in the anime.
Damn. Okay. Interesting.
So this is one of the things.
Strange choice.
Like this is this is like you. So you're going for a chronological approach, but they're not going to show Hild's backstory. Like so, it's one of those weird things. Like, maybe they just didn't know if they were going to get. I mean, I think it would be cool if the anime did just drop it like that, and you're just like, holy, like if you like fully buy into it, but they didn't. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think also the fact, like, so she's got a crossbow, which is like a callback to like the first chapter, where like the crossbows are like really OP as they're trying to get the French fort, and they're like, we got to draw the crossbow fire away, and it's like, holy crap, she's basically got like the version of a machine gun in there, like. Not what like she's just got like a bazooka. I don't know, like it's such like a powerful weapon.
You're like, oh, I mean, he killed a bear.
She's OP. Yeah, exactly. She OP. Like so, you're like, I don't know, like she.
I mean, when my first impression when I saw her was like, oh, it's Hild. I've heard of this character. This is an important character.
This is it's in that Jarkey Bacon video.
Yeah. But we only get like one chapter with her basically. So I don't know. I'm interested to see more. But yeah, back to Thorfinn. Well, I got a very like sparing notes here, I guess. Like I think when I liked how when like Gudrid, like after stabbing Sigurd and Gudrid arrives at the boat or the what do you even call that? The dock, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I stabbed Sigurd, and Thorfinn like gets very serious and is like, is he okay? Like, what's happening? And it's like Thorfinn would have, if she said like he was injured or whatever, like badly injured, he would have just run and gone to save him. It's such a cool like little moment from Thorfinn, which I like. It's great.
Yeah, that stabbing scene was really quite weird because like it does just come out of nowhere, and like I was really confused
exactly.
Like, drawn out of the story when I saw it, I was like, hang on, wait. But then I guess that's the whole point. But yeah, anyway, it's one of those things. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love it just because of you get the narration. I just love whenever there's narration from a character, like in the black boxes or whatever, the big square boxes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so in this book, in regard to Thorfinn, we also get Einar talking about how he understands him very well. So there's like two instances I'm thinking of here, which is when Thorfinn agrees to or suggest, oh, we should take Gudrid with us, and then Einar's like, oh yeah, I thought you'd say that, brother, basically. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, Einar understands him. But then the main thing that made me think of this is when they're having that conversation about Thor's, like at the Faroes, like Einar has this, he really emphasizes that if Thorfinn does have to fight people and he does have to hurt and like go to his last resort, then Einar will understand him. And it's a big, like, a lot of emphasis is placed on this. And I like it a lot, where it's kind of like Einar is another person in the world who understands that Thorfinn doesn't want to do it. Like, if he does have to kill someone, there is at least someone out there who knows that Thorfinn didn't want to do it, and he will defend him. Which I like a lot. Like, it's such a great like relationship there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say really about that. But cool relationship stuff. What else is there? I also in that same scene. It's such a long scene. I guess a lot happens. They're also talking about how Leif is very likable, and how it's really important to be likable, and sometimes it can be like more important than being good with a sword, which is cool. Like I said, it's kind of straightforward. Like talking is something way more, like at least in our modern day, it's way more important than fighting with a sword. But interesting, interesting small character stuff. We also get Thorfinn talking about obligatory vengeance, which is something I'd never thought of, which is cool. Where the idea is that if people know that if they murder someone, then they will have vengeance against them, then they are less likely to murder. So vengeance is a necessary, well, not necessary, but it's a big part of deterring murder, which is interesting. Thorfinn, obviously, he talks to Gudrid about how he doesn't believe in that, and he's going to try and change that. But I don't know, it's just a thought I'd never crossed my mind before. Vengeance important sometimes.
And I think I like how you I think in the scene he talks about how there was this, like himself, but like in third person. Like there was once a person that.
Yeah.
I forget what they say, but it's also just before Hild gets introduced as well. So like.
Like he's like, oh, there was a person who was never punished, basically. So how can I punish other people?
Yeah, and then but then they found someone who would want to punish him, which is Hild, because she is obliged. I mean, she's not a son, but she is a daughter to avenge her father. So
yeah. I'm very interested to see what happens with Hild. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll talk about in the predictions a bit. But that's everything I got for Thorfinn. A bunch of unrelated notes to go through. But the next, unless you have anything else particularly.
No.
All right. Well, the next one, I've got 2 notes on Sigurd, and then I've just got miscellaneous notes. So that's basically it.
That's good.
But for Sigurd, he just seems like a normal, besides his chains, I guess, he's attacking with the chains like an anime character. He just seems like a normal guy, with just down-to-earth friends. Like, I like his friends a lot. They're like, they bring him down a peg, where they're like calling him Siggy and everything, and I like it a lot. Like, he makes him a lot more likable, like having those friends around him.
Okay.
Neat.
Yeah, so I mean, I also Sigurd's a bit of a tsundere as well. Like, he has these friends, and he always like gets mad at them and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, he is a normal dude, but yeah, he's pretty good at fighting with the chain, to be fair.
Oh, like, yeah.
So, but yeah, like Sigurd's an interesting guy. He's going to be reoccurring during this arc. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
He's still chasing them.
He has that moment where like Gudrid, he thought Gudrid died, and then he like collapses to his knees and is like, "Oh, now I'll never get my honor back." Or it's
so selfish.
It is. I thought he was crying because of like Gudrid. Yeah.
No, he doesn't have a good bone in his body.
Yep.
He's a bit of a twerp. I think that's how I describe him.
Very, very apt.
But yeah, you may like Vinland likes to have these recurring immature male youths, I guess, in a way, and they all kind of have slightly different endings to them and slightly different characteristics. But like, so you had like Olma in the previous arc, and even Thorfinn to some extent in the first arc, and now you have kind of Sigurd now. Where like these are like Viking boys, and Yukimura uses them to say different things, and stuff like that. So,
yeah, cool stuff. The only other note for Sigurd is that he said he vows not to return to Greenland without Gudrid. Which is certainly interesting. But that's all I've got for character stuff. The only stuff left is miscellaneous notes and predictions. So very, very short video.
That's good. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So. Man, I've already talked about it. The first one is that I think Leif is just great. Like, we get a lot of Leif in this book, and I just enjoy watching him. Like, he's very, like they say, he's very likable. Like, I love him in every scene. He always,
but he is a misogynist.
He is a misogynist. A lot of people are in this book. Actually, I did write a note on that when I was reading. I'm like, oh yeah, Leif is a misogynist. We don't stand him anymore. But I like him. Yeah.
He's the type of old grandpa that you think you could convince, and he is convinced in the end. Like, but he does have his ways, and it's to show almost like even like the likable people like Leif, who are generally good natured people, still have these old, like even in Viking culture, they have these old, bad views. So, but yeah, Leif is cool. He's very affable. Is what I used to describe him.
Affable?
Affable fellow.
What does affable mean? All these new words. My goodness.
All these new verbs. Very friendly, very likable.
Yep, yeah. I agree. Leif, good. I hope he doesn't die. But he might. They keep bringing it up where it's like, oh, he's getting old. This is a long journey. Boy, do I hope he doesn't. I hope Hild doesn't kill him or something. But yep, we already talked about the bear attack. I just thought that was great. Actually, I guess particularly on, just to say it, like strictly on the bear attack, I just thought it was so engaging. Like, when I got to that chapter, I was like, man, there's a lot of pages in this chapter. Like, I'm going to have to scroll down a bit. And I wondered why. And it's just because there's so many pages of just depicting that fight with the bear in like so much detail. It was a breeze to get through. So, the other note I've got, which we touched on very briefly early on, which is that this journey to Greece, I just hope it's a very long journey. Like, there's obviously many ways that this could go forward, where you could you could even have a time skip at some point where they just arrive in Greece. But I don't know. I really hope that they just stick it out, because like another story I'm very fond of, which is Mushoku Tensei. A big part of those is just traveling the giant world, where like you've got between two major arcs, you can have like 3 books even, where it's just like they're just traveling, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
So I really hope that they do this, where you can explore the world, and it really feels like an earned like journey when they get to Greece, But I don't know. They might not do that. It might just skip there quickly, but that's what I hope for. Yeah. Then we get the baby, which is a bit annoying, Carly. I have to say. Carly. I don't think it's annoying that there's a baby. I think it's just annoying that it is used for some comedic purposes. Like it's not treated very seriously, I don't think. But we get this like probably the funniest thing that has ever happened in this book, which is when Sigurd, or not even this book, maybe in just Vinland Saga, where Sigurd arrives, like when they've already got the baby, and then he like yells at Thorfinn, and then the baby just like starts wailing, and then the dog starts barking, and it's just like all this chaos is going on when he just arrived, and it's just the funniest thing ever. Cracks me up. And then it's like cutting off his like speech bubbles and stuff. Like, man, this is great. So the baby, a mixed bag, this baby, Carly. Well, I don't know if it is. Where did they get the name Carly from? Because the mother just says Car, and I'm like, is that? How do we know that's?
I think
name?
he just,
like,
he that's what he hears, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I guess like Carly's probably a common enough name back in those days. So
sure.
Let's go. Like, yeah. But no, I mean, I think Yukimura is drawing on his dad experience of having a child a lot in this book with like the babies.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually been living since I moved back home. Just to like we're kind of pairing up with a family friend in their house while our house is currently being having some work done, basically.
Yep.
And so they have their 2-year-old son, and I'm just like, wow, yeah, kids are weird, and they demand a lot of care and attention, and yeah,
yep.
So for sure.
And now they're in Vinland Saga.
Yeah, now they're in Vinland Saga. Yeah, I mean, Carly's a bit weird. But yeah, so
he's sentient at one point. Like he says, like there's like a scream, and then under the screen is like a subtitle or something, where it's like I'm hungry or something. Like, man, he has an intelligence in his head. Like, what's going on here? My goodness. It's like that bee or the wasp that was clinging to a branch saying help. Interesting.
yeah.
Yep.
That's funny. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And I think this arc is great because you see lots of Yukimura water. You get lots of that.
Oh man, yes. There was. Oh, I have it here. There was one shot where it's like basically mountains of the ocean, and it was just so terrifying and so cool.
Yeah,
where it's like this is like I am so glad I'm not sailing because I would not be able to do that.
In this dinky little boat, it's not like modern day where you got these massive ships. They just tank these waves. You're like, wow, it's like terrifying.
Yep.
I also like how the Halfdan ship has the chain as their flag symbol and stuff like that.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Indeed. But is there anything else you want to talk about in this book? Because that's all my notes.
So you don't have anything on Hild?
No, because we've seen her for one chapter basically. I've got a little bit on the predictions maybe, but that's really it.
That's what I was thinking. I just put a panel in chat. It's like Leaf doing his own version of like some morning PBS show or whatever, I guess. Like,
yep.
Welcome to your educational channel as I teach you about way to Miklagard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I thought it was interesting. He hasn't been there. Like Leaf, the explorer who's been everywhere, and he hasn't been to this place. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why he wants to go. That's why he's like,
before he dies.
I'm too old to die. Yeah, before I die, I need to go.
And then someone I think it's him who comments on like, oh, it might be a shortcut to Vinland, which I guess would make sense because it's like first in terms of the money, and then second in terms of like they live on a globe. So I mean, wait, do they know at this point that the world is a globe? Is that like common? Okay, then I guess it could be that it's quicker to get there.
We could go around the other side. I don't think Leaf. Yeah, they don't know how big the globe is, of course, but
yeah.
I mean, it's drawn as a sphere in these panels. I'm pretty sure. would have thought of it, but yeah.
True.
Also, Gudrid and trees. And she's talking about trees and
trees.
Greenland compared to trees. Gudrid's very likable.
Oh yes, I love Gudrid. Already, like probably top 10 characters. Love her. There's a lot of good characters.
I like this shot of Hild. I don't know. I just love Hild's introduction so much. She's just like very, very cool. The rule of cool for sure. Bam! Yep. I'm gonna shoot this bear from far off, and then I'm gonna walk up with my cool hood on.
Yep. And a cool like eye mark scar. It's probably not a scar.
Oh yeah,
it looks cool.
Scars are cool. Eye marks are cool. Zuko.
Yep.
Very cool.
Indeed.
Who else is a nice scar? Todoroki. Yep. Also cool. Though actually I didn't really think Todoroki was that cool when I initially saw him, but also cool. Have you kept up on My Hero Academia? I haven't watched anything after.
Oh, I've read the manga. I'm not up to date on the manga, but like I'm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty.
Because I just think I got to season 4, and I think they got to season 5 and almost to season 6 now. I mean,
yeah, comes out soon. Bacon, it's good stuff. You know, there's a lot of haters, but not me. I love it.
I feel like if I read the manga, I may like it more. May just be one of those things like, particularly if it's like slice of life, I'm just like, give me that manga form. I don't know why, but I didn't dislike it.
There is a lot of action.
Didn't feel compelled to watch it more. Yeah. True.
Anyway,
which the anime has hit and misses. Anyway, enough about this.
My Hero good.
Boring shonen. Let's get the shonen trash out of here.
True.
Yucky shonen.
Let's go back to Peakland Saga. Predictions.
Yeah, Goatland Saga.
Are you ready?
Yeah, for sure.
I've only got 3, but I'm sure we can talk about a bunch. So the first thing is that right at the beginning of this book, we get that Ylva brings up the idea of Thorfinn getting married. So I think that's going to be a thing. Which last book I wasn't that convinced. Like in the predictions, I was talking about, he'll need a baby eventually. Which now he has a baby in a way, but I don't know if that'll be the kind of baby I'm talking about.
This was the funny thing. Like you talking about that last chapter, I was like, just you wait, next book.
Yeah, it's interesting. But in terms of getting married, the really obvious choice here is Gudrid. But I don't know, it like, because obviously he's the one who lets her on the boat, like quote unquote. So I could see her falling in love with him. But I don't know, Thorfinn, I don't think he's ready to fall in love yet or anything, but maybe, I don't know. But I mean, obviously she's married as well to Sigurd. I don't know if she would respect that, but maybe Thorfinn would.
Well, they didn't consummate the marriage. I don't know if that's important in Norse culture, actually, to be fair, because it was a Norse wedding.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did imply, like, when they were about to have sex, it's like, we need to make sure the strength of the two families is close or whatever, so... So I'm sure it's...
Sigurd. Man... what a charmer in the room.
Yeah, he did not want to. Yeah, what a scene.
Things not to say when you're having sex. This will tighten our family bonds for generations.
Yeah, man, that was a great scene though, where she's like zoning out basically, and she's talking about how like, he has such a serious face for a man who talks so much. It's good. There is a lot of good stuff in this book.
It's kind of like. It's I don't know. It almost feels like some sexual assault in a way. Like she just is.
Oh
like,
yeah, I mean,
she's given her consent, but not. I mean, not at all, really. You know, kind of thing. Like she clearly doesn't want to be there. It is a bit of you're like, yes, Gudrid, get out of that. Yeah, yes, queen.
Absolutely.
Kind of get out of there. But yeah, it's weirdly comical, but I guess it is in a way like how. You know, like it wouldn't be surprising how lots of these royal marriages almost go. Like, we need to. This is for political purposes, not for love.
Yep. So now she's gonna marry Thorfinn.
That's what Halfdan did.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, that's not my prediction. Not my prediction.
Okay.
But what?
So you don't think she's gonna marry Thorfinn?
No. Well, I mean, I can see it happen. Like, it's not impossible. Obviously, I think it's being set up. Like, it feels like it, just because he was the one who like let her on the boat. Like, they could have easily made it Leif who lets her on, or like. I don't know, someone else, but he let her on, you know. My theory about who Thorfinn will marry eventually, based on absolutely nothing, except for just when I read it the first time, or in the anime as well, I was like, they could end up well together, is Thorfinn and Hordaland. All the way back, I'm sure maybe she's dead by now, like I've got no idea, and I'm sure Gorm's dead or whatever, he's very old. But I think they're like who I've always secretly been shipping, you know, because it's like the first woman we see Thorfinn interact with in the story, and then like it's just she's his complete opposite in a way, and it would be so cool to just see them like see how far he's come, and then them again to talk, and and like talk, because obviously her first thing was about Vinland as well, like him like introducing her to Vinland. It would be so good if they got together. Now I don't think that's actually gonna happen, because that's like, firstly, like finding her and then going to Gorm and everything, that would be like, I don't know how they would even do that. But I don't know, that's something I've always had in my mind, like, oh, that'd be great. But yeah, so that's my first thing. My first prediction, I guess, is that
no Hild shipping, no Einar shipping.
No. I mean, if Einar didn't call him his brother all the time, then, you know, maybe. But I mean, I think they're pretty good brothers. Hild seems to hate him.
Hate his guts.
Yep.
Maybe she's just a big tsundere. You never know.
Perhaps, yes.
Oh, you killed my father, Baka.
Maybe that is how the next book will open. Who knows? But
yeah.
In continuing from this like thing of marriage, my actual prediction here is that I think that maybe Sigurd will live in Vinland with Thorfinn and like all the others going. Like maybe he'll follow them this entire journey, and he will actually end up with them in Vinland, like on their side. And then maybe through that, him and Gudrid will actually get married, like for real. Like they'll actually learn to like each other, you know? So that's what I think will actually happen. Because I could see that being really interesting. Especially because he has vowed to just never go back to Greenland unless he's got Gudrid. So I can't see him going back. So I can see him going through this story and probably ending up in Vinland, you know? A nice transformation for him. That's my big prediction. But yeah, okay. In regards to Thorfinn and Hild at the end of this thing, so I have two predictions. One, they're both ridiculous, because I really at this point I don't know what's gonna happen. Obviously, my prediction is Thorfinn's not gonna die. You know, he's the main character. But I think either the dog is gonna jump in front of Thorfinn and Hild will shoot it, and then that will
Kali's
be
mama.
Wait, who? The
Kali's
dog?
mama.
The dog?
Yeah,
oh, I guess. I was like, what?
The
Wait,
dog's
is
called
she still
Kali's
alive?
mama.
How is she still alive? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, mama. That's what she's called.
Okay, yes, that's what's gonna happen. Or this is something that I don't think will happen, but I think it would be really interesting if it happened. Is if Einar steps in and gets killed by Hild. Because I mean, at this point, I don't I think there's still so much you could explore with Einar, but for that to happen now and for Hild to kill him, like that would be the ultimate test for Thorfinn. Like, what's gonna happen here? And that would be really interesting. So I kind of hope that happens, even though I like Einar a lot. Like, I think that would just be so interesting to see like where the story goes from there. But yeah, we'd pretty. That's how the next chapter will open. Either the dog's dying or Einar's dying. All right. But
and Thorfinn's not going to kill Hild.
I don't know. Like, I could imagine. I don't think it'll be this soon. Just only based on the fact that I know Hild is a big character, so I don't think she'll die immediately. Like maybe eventually. I can't imagine Thorfinn. Like if Einar does die, then I can't imagine him actually killing Hild because of it. Because that'd be I don't know. Like if Einar does die and Thorfinn is actually angry, I don't know what would happen. I don't have any predictions because anything could happen at that point, which is kind of what I like about like not plot twists, but like big events like that where I'm like, man, anything could happen here. But that's my predictions. I guess I will find out very soon when I open the next page of the next book. It better not be like a I don't know. We don't go back to there to like 6 chapters from now or something. But we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, next book is a doozy. That's for sure. All of these books are a doozy.
I'm interested to see the cover. You know, the cover's always inform like what it'll be about in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's it. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, not specifically.
Oh, very good.
Think this is really interesting. Very interesting as always.
Yep. Well, this is the shortest video. Probably the shortest. I don't know if it's the shortest book, but like I don't know. Not too much happens here. But good book nonetheless.
I mean, it is a lot of setup, so there's not much that you can
Yeah.
dig into deep yet because we're at the beginning of an arc still. So
Yep, absolutely.
yeah, I imagine we have more to talk about next time. But yeah, like it's a lot of speculation of what could happen and what will happen. You know, you'd be like, okay, they're starting a new journey. Let's see where this goes.
Yep, they'll end up in Greece, and then they'll sell stuff.
Yeah,
and then they'll go to Vinland. And then, somehow there's got to be a Baltic Sea War somehow. I don't know how that's tying into anything. Oh god. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So, thanks for watching.
Bye bye.